What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 166 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zerleet, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And new subscribers, be sure to join the Discord. I'll have a link in the description below. So today we've got a little bit of a longer one, 19 minutes. We're going to be picking up where we left off in episode 165. We started out the walls of our ANBO Jyutsu ring, and now we're going to start to flesh it in. So without further ado, let's kick back, relax, and jump right into it today. So you can see I've got my picture up. In any good build, if you're trying to build something based off how it looked in a show or movie or whatever game, it's always important to go online, do your research, find screenshots of whatever it is that you're making. This way you have a good reference point to go off of. Even if we're not going to be making a one-for-one exact replica of this, because we obviously can't, because in this picture, it's a square room. And in the space that we have to work with, we just don't have enough area to make a square room. I mean, we could, but it would be very small. So with that being said, I made the decision that, okay, I'm going to have this going at an angle. It's really not that big of a deal, and I'm just going to use this picture to inspire me to make something, but using the space that I have available to make it work. And sometimes you're just going to be hit with the scenario like that, you know? But again, at the end of the day, there's a million and one ways to do this thing. You don't have to be one-for-one exact. You can take some liberties with it, is what I'm trying to get at. You can do whatever you want. Even with my episode today, you don't have to build this. This is just a suggestion on what you could do. Maybe this will help inspire you to come up with your own design for your own ANBO ring. Or maybe this will show you what you don't want to do. But that's the great thing about building, that, you know, there's so many variations and so many different things that people can do, that, you know, I welcome it. Because I've come across too many people that are, not anybody in my community that I've talked to, but I've seen other YouTubers and other builders that are just so unbelievably full of themselves that they think that they're the best thing since sliced bread. And I mean, hey, don't get me wrong, it's cool to have confidence in yourself, but there's different ways of doing things, and there's different ideas that people can come up with. And it's kind of ignorant not to have that open point of view. And I think that this, having an open point of view, just helps the creativity on what you're working with. You know, what's the point of doing a 110% exact replica? I can't believe I just fast forwarded a little bit. Okay, right back where we were, just about. But, you know, it's important to have that creative freedom to do what you want with your builds. Because, I mean, one of the things that I've noticed with my ships is that there's so much of myself in them. And that's because, you know, there's certain, like, there'll be certain moments in the shows or movies that stick out with me. And it's like, man, okay, like, when I'm working on this ship, like, I need to make sure I have that area of the ship on my build, and like almost have like a blueprint in my mind of how that room's already going to look. But then again, sometimes you'll be constrained with what you can do, so you kind of got to take that idea and kind of evolve it and merge it to the area that you got to work with. One of the downsides that we're going to have in this space that we have is that to the right of our sea lanterns, we can't take away any of that flooring. So I'm expecting to cover up the floor here with carpeting. Now what we can do, because actually when we close in the roof and like or close in our ceiling and everything, it's going to get very dark in this room. So to combat that, what we'll do is everything to the left of the sea lanterns will actually fill in the floor here with the sea lanterns themselves, just to brighten it up a little bit. And I'm not going to lie, it's not going to be super easy to build an ANBO ring because there's just going to be no way to get all this detail that's in this ring within this size. Um, we'd have to build a massive circle and make the room so much bigger than it is just to get the oriental detailing in. And it is what it is. We can make it work without it though. Now, one thing that you see me doing right now is that I'm winging my circle. This is something I do like to talk about, that, you know, unless you've had a lot of experience with working with circles, I don't really suggest doing it because you're a lot more likely to just kind of sit there spinning your wheels, where it might just be better to go on a pixel circle generator, type in the width and height that you want it to be, and use that. But I've been working with circles long enough that I'm not trying to say I can build a perfect circle right off scratch, but I can build one close enough that I'm happy with it, put it that way. You can see here we've already got some changes that we have to make, specifically either to that right side here or this left side. Because, I mean, that doesn't look terrible. We can maybe make that work. Like I said, I'm not going for a perfect circle, just something that looks close enough. It's one of the cool things with the Enterprise D that makes it very attractive as far as being a builder goes, is that the ship had so many recreational areas on it that we'll just, it's kind of like just like a builder's playground, that we just have all these cool areas on the ship that we get to build, which would be pretty cool. Now, I did do this by design, that I made my circle big enough to where I can have a 2 wide X access point going across. And this is where the detail comes in and trying to figure out what exactly you're going to do. We're trying to work out our base shape here and get like these widgets. See, that's kind of like what I'm trying to work with here, but you can see we don't have the area to really do that. So what I'm going to try to do here is maybe just kind of stretch it out. I need to make a cut right here. Alright, we've got all 4 sides. We do need to fix that top corner there because it's out of proportion with the rest of it. You can see when we made that cut, we have to do the same thing up here. We have to do another cut line for these 3, or actually 4. I'm not necessarily feeling that, so we're going to make the top, or excuse me, make the bottom match the top. Now, the only problem with this design right now is that the left and right side are longer than the top and bottom. That's the only problem with what we have going on right now. This is why it's kind of important. I go back to my rule where if you do one thing on one side, you should do it on the other, so that the proportions should match up. And that doesn't look terrible. I mean, it's definitely like a rink-dink ANBO Jyutsu ring, but I think we're getting enough detail out of this that by the time it's done, if you watch Star Trek, you know what it is, you know? So hopefully this will work out pretty well. try that out. That actually doesn't look bad either. And we can maybe fill in the center with a darker color. Or even a red. That's going to be the one crappy thing about this, is that we don't have the room here to put this Oriental symbol. But it is what it is. We're just trying to work with what we got and use this as a reference to kind of guide us where we need to go. But all things considered within Minecraft, I don't think that looks too bad. I think that looks about as close as you're going to get it within the scale that we have to work with. Now, one thing I do want to do is that we're going to add another block to our height here on our walls, because you can see looking at this screenshot that they're standing on top of a ring, so it's raised up off the ground a little bit. So this wall, and it's visually noticeable here just how tall the wall is, so we have to add a little bit more height to this room that we already have. Now, we don't want to go super crazy, make it bigger than it needs to be. We have to figure out this corner right here, but I think we have just enough room that we need to make it work. Anything more than that, we honestly don't need to worry about it. So just going to fill in some more of this floor, even if we're not going to utilize every single block. I just want to make sure I have my flooring covered up there, so now we can add our wall here. And I think probably the best thing to do is just to kind of keep this angle design of the room going. I think that's going to work the best. Because if we just had a straight line, it probably wouldn't, it would, stick out like a sore thumb. So we're using the design cues that we've established with this room. We're going with the outline of our corridors, which are dictating the shape of the room. So it kind of makes sense that if the walls are going at an angle, this back wall here should probably go at an angle too. Try to make a point to talk about the logic and the decisions that I make so that this way you guys can apply this same thinking to your own builds. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, this is my blueprint. This is how I make these ships happen. I sit and think about what I want to do, and I try to make logical decisions based on the area in which I have to work with, also within the material that I have to work with if I have a screenshot available. And now we're going to cut this line, so we've got like a nice cut line going around our ring and almost looking like a stepping point to get on it. You can see I'm totally cheating here. I'm only making my walkway 2 wide. It should probably be 3. But I think I did that with some of the doorways on the Enterprise D. I made them 2 instead of 3. So we had 2 types of doorways, some that were 3 wide and some that were 2 wide. And we'll make it work. What's really going to be cool though is that the opposite end of the ANBO Jyutsu ring will have like a shower area. So like when you get out of the Jyutsu ring, you'll just walk straight across this other side here, and there'll be like a shower area where you can come in after you've worked out in the ANBO Jyutsu ring, take a shower, whatever you want to do, or before you're going in there, you can come in there to change. That would be the idea behind it anyway. The only problem that I'm using, or I'm doing right here, is that the ceiling, it might be just a little bit too low. And it's crazy to think, because you guys can actually see when I built this. This specific portion of the ship was back in February of this year, and we're already in August. So that's how far behind you guys were to the build where I was at. I'm not gonna lie though, like, this build was a massive undertaking, and I didn't expect it to go on as long as it did. And if I hadn't lost my save file, we probably could have been working on the Enterprise D for another year easy before it was done. And that's kind of scary when you think about the fact that my Enterprise D is only half the size of a full-on Galaxy class. So something to definitely think about when you're planning out your builds. I'm glad that I did it because you know, I had never done a build to this scale before. I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know if I could build something out this large and maintain the detail and maintain the proportions. So it was a fun experiment to try. But, you know, and I've said this before, that going forward, Enterprise D is going to be the last mega build I probably ever do, just simply because the time that I've had to dedicate to making this thing happen. It really has been a love-hate relationship, mostly a love, but there's definitely been some aggravation here and there where I haven't been able to do, or let me rephrase, not necessarily that I haven't been able to do what I wanted, but sometimes things don't come out the way that you want them to. And then when you're working with a larger scale build, fixing those mistakes is much more costly and time consuming. And even just fleshing out the ship has been so time consuming. Like, when everything's all said and done with this tutorial, we'll still probably have only filled in maybe 60% of the ship. There's still a good 40% of it that's not going to be filled in and fleshed out. But, you know, that's one of the good things that I have enjoyed about making this mega build, that I haven't been restricted on being able to do anything that I've wanted to do so far. Any idea that I've had to add something into this build, I've been able to do it, which has been awesome. It's just been a pain to build this whole thing out. So I know that going forward, any ships that I do, even if like they're on par with the size of the Enterprise D, I'm going to make them smaller just so it's not taking me a million years just to finish it. I've had a couple people asking for it. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do exactly, but I think when the Enterprise D is done, I'm going to do like a contest of people that they can record their Enterprise D and like do a tour of it, and like the most accurate one to the ship that I built, like, you know, like that'll be like the featured video that I'll put up on my YouTube channel, and give, you know, of course, huge shout outs to the person that helps me with that, because that'll be the one thing that I won't be able to do with this build that I really want to do, is actually be able to go and do a tour of the ship when it's been completed. So keep an eye out for that. I'll have more information on that soon. Probably when we're getting towards the very end of the Enterprise D, when there's only like a couple of episodes left, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks left, I'll probably do that and have, if I can figure it out, to have it uploaded to the YouTube, or not to the YouTube channel, to my Discord channel. That will probably be the way to go, and have people go on the Discord and vote on the video that they like the most. If that's something you want to see, let me know in the comments section. But I think that's going to be a thing. I think it'll be pretty cool, and it'll be a way to interact a little bit more with the community and get them involved with some of the stuff that we've got going on with the YouTube channel. The channel's, you know, and it's slowly but surely growing. There's definitely cool stuff to come in the future. In the immediate future, we've got Voyager. That's going to be the next build immediately following the Enterprise D. And then once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we've got a tutorial on the 2016 Star Trek Beyond Enterprise A retrofit that I've done. And that'll be a specific refit that I designed based off the Enterprise A from Star Trek Beyond, but making it more in line with what the Enterprise A should be, just in my opinion. If you want to get an idea of what that looks like, I have a couple of videos up that I've done as teasers to promote it. I also commissioned a model, and I've posted a bunch of screenshots on my Discord channel so you can see more of that ship, but that'll be coming up. That's the only stuff that I have planned immediately, but once the Enterprise D is done, then we'll be able to start slowly talking about what's going to come up after Voyager. Things could always change. I think right now, kind of where I'm leaning at, that I don't want to do too many community polls back to back, just so I have a chance to do the stuff that I'm like super passionate about. But I think what I'm going to end up doing after Voyager is I'm just going to build something that one of the ships that I've kind of had my eye on for a little while. And then maybe after that I'll do another community poll. I don't want to say what the ship's going to be, because there's like, honestly, there's like 4 or 5 ships that I'm looking at, and I haven't honestly decided. But we'll be talking about that more once we get towards the end here of the Enterprise D. So last thing I want to talk about, and that's why I rewinded, you can see that we're just going to fill in our floor here with the carpeting, and that'll wrap up today's episode. We want to make sure we're not covering up the ring itself, just the stuff going around it to give that gray floor, just like in the picture. But anyway, that's going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank you again for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. If you did enjoy this episode, drop a comment below. Let me know what you thought. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. Any ship builds you want to see me do, be sure to drop your request on Discord under Build Suggestions. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode, and I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section and post your pictures on Discord.